So today, we're taking a look at Dark Power. Not seen this one before, and I keep confusing it with Don't Panic. Let's have a look. Dark Power is a 1985 American horror film directed by Phil Smoot, who's only directed one other film called Alien Outlaw. The film stars Lash LaRue, who was a very popular Western actor in the 40s and 50s, and is best known for being well skilled with a whip, and even taught Harrison Ford how to use one for the Indiana Jones films. So the film begins with a huge flicker and some text talking about the Toltecs whilst using terribly colloquial punctuation. We then cut over to an old Native American man called John Cody who's dying in bed and doing his best impression of Citizen Kane.
Toltec.
We then get the credits while two news reporters tell us that Cody was well known for practicing magic, and the reporter Mary is going over to check out what he meant by Toltec. We're then treated to this sequence of a boy walking through the woods with something following him. It turns out to be some dogs, and they chase him, but he's saved by Lash LaRue playing Ranger Gerard and his whip. He just whips and whips. We then jump over to a fat complaining guy called Earl. He's helping clean out Cody's house, and he notices an eagle and skull ornament, which is apparently a symbol of dark power. We cut to a bar where Mary the reporter and Gerard are having a drink. They chat about Toltecs, which are apparently a Mexican tribe that preceded the Aztecs, and Cody believed that the Toltecs moved to America. Mary interviews Gerard.
Good. I get their attention that way. Is that about ready?
And he just wants to talk about his whip.
I was going to tell you about the whip, and it's said to have powers of protection even in the evil days. I would like you to mention the whip as a gift from Cody to me in your story.
We then meet one of our main characters, Beth, who's apparently got a bum deal with her college dorms. Mary appears and tells Beth and her friend Lynn about Cody's house being available, and they agree to check it out. We then jump over to when the girls have already moved in, and Beth's friend Tammy is thinking about joining them. She's reluctant, however, as she's heard of the dark power on the land, but Beth shows her around, and she starts to like it.
Gee, would you check this cabinet space? I know.
And she eventually agrees. But Lynn starts acting like a bitch about it. Tammy leaves and Lynn gets mega racist.
Are you two allowing? No, you two are actually coercing a black girl to stay with us. We're from the same hometown. We went to the same junior high school. We graduated from the same high school. She knows full well how I feel about associating with black people. I found this place, and we decided that we were going to try to populate it with our friends and keep any unwanted strangers from moving in. So you two bring that nigger in here.
Fucking hell, Lynn. Over to Mary, who bumps into Gerard. She wants to find out more about Cody's land, so they go to a library and look at some documents. They find out from some guy that Cody wanted his land to be dug up and anything found to be buried at sea. Apparently the Toltecs would bury themselves alive and on their burial anniversary would rise and feed on the blood of the living. Also, 3 people went missing when the house was being built. Back over to the house, and a creepy guy annoys Susan. This is Craig, Lynn's brother, and because Lynn's such a terrible person, she's invited him to live with them, just to get back at Beth for letting Tammy live there. Also, he's quite sleazy. He appears later and looks at the girls in the shower and bath, so Susan shoves his head in the toilet. Meanwhile, Mary and the guy from the library have figured out that the anniversary of the Toltecs' burial is tonight, so she decides to head over. Craig invites his friends over for a very shit party, and Earl appears to fix the toilet. He talks to the girls who are all hiding in their rooms trying to study. Also, the little kid from earlier's back. He's called Cletus and he's obsessed with driving Earl's truck. Craig's friends act drunk.
Of course, he did what you wanted to do with his face. Come on in, let us do what we want to do with yours. Yeah.
While Earl fixes the toilet, but Cletus does a runner. Earl follows, but it's too late and Cletus runs away. Earl dropped his tool, so he bends down to get it, and a zombie hand appears. Gerard gets a call from Mary that the Toltecs are rising tonight. While back at the house, one of the Toltecs is knocking on the door. Craig's friends answer and act all stupid, and what the fuck is that thing? It looks like a melted Marilyn Manson. They fool around until it attacks, and this one that looks like a goblin shoots Craig's friend with an arrow. They run and bump into another one that looks like a bootleg wrestler doll.
We can take him.
And they throw stuff at it, but it doesn't really do anything. Craig's friend gets his throat slit, and Craig gets shot with an arrow. Craig's other friend runs into Tammy's room to hide. The zombies argue and grunt at each other. Okay. Alan, which is Craig's last friend, gets kicked out of Tammy's room, and him and Lynn run to get into a car, but it won't start and it draws the attention of the zombies, which leads to Lynn getting shot in the arm. Good. Also, her screaming annoys the zombies. They run to a boat, but they don't have a key, so they kind of slowly push it out, which obviously doesn't work, and a zombie just pulls them back in. Alan kind of attacks one of the zombies, but he rips his hand off and does this. Susan hears something outside, so goes to check it out. Lynn stabs a zombie in the head, but she gets shot with an arrow. The zombies then attack Susan. One throws an axe, but misses. And he even does like the shoulder shrug. It pulls the axe out and uses it on Susan. Back over at the house, and a zombie is acting like an idiot in the kitchen. It breaks stuff and drinks wine. Beth and Tammy think that it's the drunken party that's just getting rowdy, and Tammy agrees to go up and get Beth's silverware so it doesn't get damaged. She gets it, but a zombie appears and she threatens it with a knife. Tammy realises Susan is missing, and the zombies have got Beth. Tammy attacks it and Beth hits it with some weights. The girls are surrounded when Gerard appears to whip the zombies.
Feel my whip!
Gerard whips around but gets knocked out. A radio gets turned on where Mary's saying something about the light containing the dark power, and the girls remember the set of eagle knives in the storage room, so they grab them and Tammy goes on a killing spree. Gerard wakes up but there's only one zombie left. The zombie grabs a whip and they go outside for a whip off. No joke. Bet you weren't expecting this for a climax. After a lot of whipping, Gerard beheads the zombie and it's all over. Gerard has an inner monologue directed at Cody, and the film ends. Okay then, so what did I think? I thought it was really stupid. Right off the bat, the tone was all over the place. You have these long scenes talking very seriously about the Toltecs, and long drawn out suspense shots like the kid in the woods at the beginning, and then you have drunken zombies shrugging comically, and whip-offs. The editing was weird too. Like this sequence here, lots of close-ups very quickly edited together. Just wasn't needed. The acting's pretty bad, as was the music. And it all just seemed very messy. But I did have a laugh while watching it. It may even fall into the so bad it's kinda good category, especially with that ending. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Now for the release. It's appalling. It flickered pretty much constantly. It was like watching an overly used VHS, and I think I've seen less flickering in films from the 20s. And the audio was terrible too. Sometimes the music was louder than the actors. And it all sounded very muffled and compressed. This is another instance where the menu's after the film, and again we get no special features. And now to the case. We have an incorrect word here. I think it should be where instead of there, and again it just reads weirdly. The runtime's off by 13 minutes, with the film coming in at 77 minutes, which is awful. Now, a quick thing to mention is that this is the last Dead of Night film to have the Dead of Night logo on its spine. As you can see, the rest are just plain black. So, we're past the logo now, let's see what those plain black ones will bring us. Overall then, I think this was really stupid. But if you find terrible films funny, it might be worth a watch. Although it is let down heavily by the visual quality. I'd slightly recommend the film for the it's so bad it's good factor, but I'd definitely say avoid this release.